What's up, boys? Welcome back to another Terran school. Today I have something perfect for you guys. How to win TvT without brain cells. Exactly. You're wondering, well, that's not possible because we have 100 billion brain cells. And no, today it's actually gonna be possible, and I'm gonna show you guys how. Because someone like me was able to defeat a liquid clem, which, considering the brain cell difference, is a pretty big upset. And actually, this was a build suggested to me by Twitch chat as well. But this is actually a legit build. It's very low IQ. I don't even know if I can connect an IQ amount to this. Maybe it's even negative, like minus 12 or something. I don't know. But I'm gonna show you guys how. It's a cheesy build. This is not your legit stuff. This is not. Well, maybe this is how you're gonna farm the ladder. I don't know. But it's not a solid build. Anyway, first thing, we start off with a gas first. Obviously, I will forget to post the replay in the description and then post it later, so make sure to check it out probably about a few hours after the video is posted. So anyway, we open with a gas first, 15 gas. Now this build, guys, it's actually greedy because you're not going to SCV scout. We can't afford any of that crap. So no SCV scout, so yes, you die to a proxy reaper and probably some other BS. But that's not what it's about, guys. So we're gonna go for a gas first Reaper expand without scouting. Actually, that's funny to see. If you don't scout, this is just something I noticed. This is not relevant, but apparently, if you do barracks gas, and if you do gas first, you have the same amount of money if you don't SCV scout and the other guy SCV scouts. So even though his opening is more economic, and mine is more tech focused, I actually have the same amount of money as him because I skipped the SCV scout. That's actually interesting. Like, you can see it here. Like, the exact same amount of minerals, I just have 50 more gas. I didn't know that was like the exact difference with the SCV scout. That's kind of cool, actually. Anyway, gas vs Reaper expand. Gonna go for that factory instantly. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna aim for a frontal attack. Honestly, this build, it's a super annoying build because it's, I don't know. I feel like anyone can execute this. Sometimes you just accidentally win the game right away. Even against people like Clem. Like Clem in this game was 7.1. Gave me a big fat MMR check. Yeah, honestly, you can bridge pretty big skill gaps with this build. It's really cool. This what I'm doing here is a little bit risky. I only want, just to clarify, I only did this because he SCV scouted, so I thought he was Reaper expanding. If there was no SCV scout, I would have just kept it at home. But yeah, usually an SCV scout is assigned for Reaper expand. But if you're not sure, or if you don't think this is the case at your MMR, or if they don't SCV scout, please just keep it at home. Like, this is very YOLO. I just like to do it against Reaper expand. As you can see, doesn't even do anything. Because he made the Marine mostly, else I would have been able to escape. So this is what we're gonna do. Lift off. Okay, so this gas is a normal timing, but we're not gonna saturate it right away. Once again, guys, I'm just teaching you the deviations from normal builds and why this is a bit different. But if you want to see the complete build order and look at it slowly, check out the replay in the description. But yeah, you don't saturate right away because else you're gonna run out of money. So what you do is you wait until you have 16 on the minerals. You can see it right here, and then you start rallying. And that way you have enough money to do what you need to do. Else you're just gonna end up having too much gas, and that's it. So ideally you wait for the Reaper to be gone, or even more ideal, the Reaper doesn't even get into your base, you don't lose your own. And then you start a tech lab on this bad boy over here. Gonna start making Hellions. Hellions are good for map control, you can move them out normally. If you have a Reaper and two Hellions, you can move them around the map, do what you want. But in this case, since I lost the Reaper, I'm gonna keep them here to prevent the scout. Like, you actually don't want this to be scouted, so I'm gonna keep my units here for now to deny like a Reaper jumping in from this place. Obviously, a Reaper can come from here as well, but then you actually have a heads up because your CC would see it and you can react to it, right? So you're gonna make a Marauder from the tech lab. Also, you do need to cut SCVs for this build, by the way. So I'm gonna cut SCVs as 25. I think that's the normal SCV count to cut at. Like, I don't do this build super often. If you try it out yourself and find that 24 or 26 is the perfect SCV count to cut at, then go ahead. But I'm pretty sure it's 25 and it build worked out very well. So the way you do it, you make the medevac. Don't get your concussive shells instantly. get the medevac first, and then the concussive shells. Because concussive was actually a very fast upgrade. You can see, normally the bar doesn't move that fast, but you can actually see it's moving along very fast here, right? It's actually a very fast upgrade. Gonna keep making Hellions. Now, at this point, you kind of have a choice. I like to keep making Hellions and Marauders and just go really, really ham. But you can also stop at 6 Hellions and 2 Marauders. I don't know. I feel like when I do a build like this, it's risky. It's a hardcore attack. I just like to keep rallying behind. So at least I'm going to rally Hellions behind. You probably don't have to make Marauders. I think Marauders are actually a pretty decent defensive tool, though. Imagine if you move out with this and, I don't know, some Hellions show up in your base. 1 Marauder is actually pretty useful. So this is what the attack looks like. You have the medevac with the 2 Marauders in them and the 6 Hellions. And in my case, more Hellions behind. Then I go for a Liberator behind as well. And the reason why this is so strong is because this is usually what a people's base look like. They'll have some Marines. Sometimes they will have Reaper Hellion instead, but they always go for the Cyclone. But the Marauders are really good against the Cyclone, and it kind of leaves nothing really to defend the Hellions, right? And that's exactly what's going to happen in this game as well. I don't even think the micro I do is perfect, but let's see. Here we go. This build transitions into both bio and mech, by the way. We'll talk about it a bit later. So ideally, like here I miss micro. Normally you just lock on, you kill the Cyclone instantly with the Marauders in that little thing I had, but I miss micro it a little bit. In any case, the way you micro this is you usually keep the medevac a little bit in the back, and then you just lift the unit that gets targeted with the Cyclone. Now this might be difficult, but it's actually worth it, especially if it's a Marauder. Like, I lost a Hellion here to begin with, but losing a Hellion is not as bad. Just make sure you don't instantly throw the medevac away. But if the person isn't looking with the Cyclone, I would say it's actually worth it to trade out the medevac for the Cyclone, because the Cyclone is going to be most of the defense. Now you guys may wonder, what if there's a bunker? Usually if there's a bunker, you can still go for it. The best response they can have is Tank Viking. But I noticed that not even with Tank Viking you're completely safe. Even if you have Tank Viking in the natural, you can very often still YOLO the Marauders on the tanks. But if they have Tank Viking and everything in position, like all the Marines, every unit, that's how you properly defend this. But you see like this, honestly, I don't feel like there was much you could do to hold it. Like, I lost the Hellion from the start. I didn't even get the target on the Cyclone right. And I'm just gonna get so far ahead just by that. And I see when the tank comes, I'm just gonna back off. You can actually decide to YOLO here. Like, I could have picked it up and YOLO'd on the tank. But since my medevac was so low, I decided not to do it. I think if I didn't take so much unnecessary damage on my medevac early, I probably would have YOLO'd on this. Because 2 Marauders kill the tank pretty fast. Marines won't do anything. And then, you know, the game actually completely ends. But since I took too much damage here, I decided not to do it. So at home... Wait, where did my Liberator ever go? Ah, it was just very late, I guess. So at home, you're just going to go for 3cc. Now, if you want to learn how to do like a proper bio build, I would recommend you to check out my Reaper Expand video. Because this game I'm going to play mech, but you can actually play bio perfectly fine as well. And in TvT, transitions always look the same, guys. You know it. You're going to get your Ravens, your tanks, and then when you're done with making Ravens, you can decide to put your starport on the reactor for Vikings, or make another reactor and go triple barracks. Like, transitions always look the same in TvT. You get your Ravens, and then when it's done with that, you make your add-ons, no matter whether you play mech or bio. Though if you play mech, you're pretty much always going to have the starport here on the reactor for the Vikings. And if you play bio, at some point you're going to switch it out to make medevacs or to make another reactor or something. Now, if you play mech, obviously you're going to need those 2 gases pretty fast. Even if you play bio, you want this 3rd gas fast to be able to play Raven and tanks. Once again, guys, check out the timing in the replay if you really want to be sure of everything I did here. And then you can see I have a very comfortable lead, killing a lot of stuff with the Hellion Marauder. And this build, honestly, it's been very popular. And among pro Terrans, just one thing, by the way, I always bring my stuff back home to repair. Like, all my Hellions were red and stuff. And the Hellions are good units, especially if you play mech. And I prefer getting them back home to repair them instead of just going again and, you know, wasting them for just a few SCVs or whatever. So I actually sent everything home to repair. Now what I was gonna say, among pro gamer Terrans, I feel like we always make fun of each other when we use this build. Because this build's very greedy, you're just completely blind early on, and you just do kind of like a meme attack, and it's very strong, but at the same time this build's not super legit, you know, so sometimes someone proxy reapers you. It's kind of a meme build, so whenever we do this, we make fun of each other. Like when I see Clem do this build, I always mock him a bit in the Team Liquid chat, and and that's why it's extra funny that I used it against him as well. It's kind of a running meme in the pro scene. But who knows, this build could deliver you a lot of MMR. So the mech transition I do here is, just like I said, Starport always goes on the reactor when you play mech, because you just need Vikings to defend stuff. And then you use, instead of getting the tech lab on your barracks for stim, you build another factory on it. And then you build another reactor with the barracks for your third factory. And right now, I'm already perfectly set up. Honestly, if I would take over this game from my position, I would probably win at least 9 out of 10 times. Like a very, very comfortable spot there being up. Also something to note is that I already have a pretty high unit count for mech. I do have to say, guys, this is actually the first time I played this build into mech. And it rolls really well. Like, I don't know. It just, everything worked out very well. Normally you have like a lot of minerals when you play mech, but this actually, yeah, it just flowed super well. So maybe this is actually a better follow-up for the Marauder drop build. Maybe I'll try it again later. So other Terrans can make fun of me, but I'm the one getting the dubs, so who cares, right? Also, when you play mech, always get that fast eBay, you know, get some turrets up for easy drops and stuff. Of course, I have some more extensive mech and bio guides as well. Now it's more just focused on, you know, getting that follow-up right after the build. In this case, I only made some turrets because my opponent had more ravens than me, and I was kind of afraid of air control. So it's not like the turrets do a lot. They're mostly just to delay. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I build those turrets and like, oh, they're gonna deter the attack forever. But at least he will have to siege here, kill the turrets. You know what I mean? You buy some time. Like here, for example, I wasn't super in position. I was still in position enough. But if you could have just walked straight up here like this, it could have actually been dicey, and those turrets are gonna prevent the ravens from just moving in. So that's one thing you can do if you want to like delay the air push a little bit. In my case, I'm actually catching up in Vikings very fast. I already have more Vikings, as you can see. That's because I only played one Raven, by the way. And because this build floats so well, I would recommend you to actually do that one Raven into the Vikings. Because it just feels really nice. Now, at this point, I can't die anymore. As you can see, I have such a high tank count with this build because I started producing tanks very fast. And don't forget, remember when I told you guys you could YOLO on the tank here? If you actually do get that tank, it's not just instant damage, but you also lower his tank count for later so he can't push. Like, imagine if this was, before it was only 3 tanks, imagine if he attacks me with 2 tanks at this timing. It's completely useless, right? So those things also really matter. As you can see here, I already have more Vikings, so not too much to worry about. I always prefer using the auto turrets over the interference matrices, by the way. Or, not always, most of the time. Of course, it's pretty situational. So after the 3 factories, you get the double upgrades. I go for a 4th base as well pretty fast. Like, if I didn't have so many tanks, maybe I get 2 extra factories first. But since I felt like I was so well set up, I just got my 4th base right away. Now, with mech, never underestimate the tanks, since I did so much damage. And in the biggest thing I did here was kill 2 ravens. I felt like I could just pounce and win the game. If you ever... I feel like with mech, if you ever get a somewhat convincing fight, I feel like you just push and win the game most of the time. So when I do think I have an opportunity, I will usually just go for it. And in this case, you can see Unsheathed Tank's also very strong, by the way. There's not much his army can do against this. This is a bit of judgment, though. If you don't feel comfortable in taking these fights, I would recommend you not to. Because mech is actually stronger the longer the game goes. Now, I've been playing mech for a long time, and I was very confident I would stomp him there. And then, yeah, if you have this tank count, usually there's not much the other Terran can do. But if I would have to give you guys a solid game plan from this point on, because maybe you don't want to, you know, take risk the entire game, then probably wait for 1-1 until you push, get your 4th and 5th base first, maybe, you know, just a general general way to play mech. Once again, I also have a mech against bio guide on my YouTube if you guys want to check that out. Mech versus mech guide coming soon, perhaps. And then here I'm just going to be abusing that air control and tank count. Also, quick tip once again. Get your 4th and 5th both at a reasonable timing, especially when you play mech. You have a lot of minerals, so you can spend a lot of that on turrets and command centers. And here, on a map like this, these bases are both easy to defend, so you can actually take your 4th and 5th at pretty much the same timing as long as you have some tanks to defend. Now, obviously, I decided to end the game here because I could. Landed Vikings really good against SCVs as well, by the way. They do so much damage against those. And that's going to be a pretty simple win for me. Once again, if you're not sure about this push, or even if you're... What's also a dicey situation, if you don't know where his army is, then I would probably recommend not pushing out, because with mech you usually don't want to end up in like a base rate situation. So how I finished the game here, it was a bit situational. I read the situation well and that's it. But normally, try to find the army first, that's actually very important. You never want to have like an army roaming around. If you play mech, you kind of want to corner the army of the bio player. Oh, exactly 10 minutes. How pleasing is that? Yeah, just a quick tip. I was just saying, for example, if you want to push out this way, but the Terran has an army here, what you do is you don't just defend, but you can push this army away and then push to his base after. Anyway, guys, I hope, like I said, all of you have enough IQ for this. Unless we have some real negative IQ people here. Hope you guys are gonna get some MMR with this, what did I say? The no brain cell TvT build. Don't do it against each other though. Like, you recognize the other YouTubers, you know, and use it in the right time. Maybe some tournament dubs with it. Make sure to make fun of each other for using it as well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time. Adios.